Hey friends, it's Brad Brain. Today I want to warn you about a classic investing mistake. Now you might say, well, if it's a classic mistake, why would I need to be warned about it? And I'll tell you why. It's because people have a tendency not to recognize their own behaviors. I'll tell you what I mean. Let's say I was to say to you, be careful about buying an overpriced investment. You would say probably, well, of course, like why would I pay too much to buy an investment? That seems silly. And then what will happen is that same person will say, yeah, but I got to get in on that thing over there because look at it, it's gone up. I got to get in before it's too late. Or alternatively, I might say to somebody, it makes sense to buy a high quality investment at a cheap price. And they would agree. They would say, yes, of course, I totally see the wisdom in that. If it's a good quality investment and I can get it at a cheap price, that makes sense to me. And then the same person will say, yeah, but I got to get out of this thing right now because look at it. It was up there and now it's come down so much. I got to get out now before I lose all my money. You see what's happened there? Is people can agree with me intellectually, but they don't recognize their own behavior emotionally, right? Because money decisions are driven by emotions, not by rational and sober thought. So here's where this presentation came from today, this discussion today. It came from a few recent phone calls I've got from people who are not clients, and to be honest, they probably never will be. And the reason for that is I just don't think we have common ground. So here's how the conversation goes. So tell me about your best investment. That's what they'll say. They'll say, like, how's your investment been doing? As if there's only one, right? But in my case, we actually do have a flagship investment. So the question is not totally out of context. I don't know if they know we have a flagship investment when they ask that question, but we do. So there is a more application to that question than there would be with other advisors when they do ask it to me. But still, the question is misdirected. To me, it shows a lack of understanding of not just what the person's options are, but also more importantly, what their priorities should be. So here's what I mean. And this is the crazy part, because on any and every investment disclosure, it will say past performance is no assurance of future performance, right? Read the fine print. It's all over the place. And yet what people will say is like, well, how did this thing do last year? Who cares? And I don't mean that sarcastic. I mean, literally, who cares? Who cares what an investment did last year if you did not own it yet? Now, there could be some merit to the question if you were wondering, I don't know, like something like, how did value stocks hold up during the pandemic? There's something, but that's not what people are asking. What they're asking is like, what is the past performance? Because they want to go buy the best past performance, thinking that past performance will continue. That's invariably where the question stems from, right? And to that, I say, who cares? Because if you weren't in the investment last year, then what it did last year is totally irrelevant. It only matters to the people who owned the investment last year, right? That would be like saying, I don't know, something like, how fast did a sports car do a quarter mile in? But you don't own the sports car yet. And in the meantime, I don't know, let's say it broke down, right? So the past performance isn't going to get repeated, right? Anyway, I'm not sure if that's the best analogy. It's what popped into my head. The idea, though, and this is the important part, is that what has already happened is water under the bridge, right? What you should be focused on is not what is history, but what's ahead of you. And what that invariably should center around is what is important to you. What are your great goals in life? Because here's another part that people who ask me, like, what's your best investment and how did it do last year? They don't get is that there is no one perfect investment that will be equally appropriate for every single person out there. It just doesn't exist. All people are unique and have their own individual goals, objectives, resources, risk tolerances. You can't just have a cookie cutter approach and expect to have success ubiquitously. It doesn't work that way. So what's most important is first you define what's important to you. And then when you know that, you can figure out what investments are consistent to move you from where you are to where you want to be. And that has nothing to do with what's your best investment. I hope that makes sense. But if you have any questions about this or anything else, let me know. I'm Brad Brain and I'm here to help. I hope you stay healthy and be well. Take care.